Hi. Save yourself and the world. It's true. There is no question about it. It's nature. That's all there is to it. I'm going to tell you. I'm being completely honest. Let's take one real simple thing, for example. When you washed your clothes last week or yesterday, did you put it in a washer and then in a dryer? Was the washer indoors? Was the dryer indoors? Thought so. Typically, I keep my washer outside, and typically I hang my clothes on the line. Why? Because doing so is how I stay connected to nature. What does that mean? What's that mean? Well, first, here, since I live in Ecuador, I have to make sure there's water, that the water's on, because climate change has caused a great deal of rain, and because of the rain, it's messed up the city water pipes, which are not put underground, and they break. And when they break, we don't have any water for a while. Usually it's a very short while because they're really on top of it, but that does happen occasionally, sometimes twice a month. So I always check first, do I have water? Second, do I have myself on-grid power? Why? Because usually my husband is napping. He's 85 and not well, so he's napping. So I want to make sure I have it on-grid power, because the solar power, if I have it on solar power, the washing machine draws so much power that it makes the UPS beep, 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 beep the whole time. It's working. It's still working. It's just that it's beeping. Third, I better check the weather. Not just on my phone, outside, looking around, observing. I was a pilot, so I pay real close attention to the clouds, what the clouds are doing, what the visibility. This visibility right now is 0 because it rained all night, and we've got really low fog, and it hasn't burned off yet. So that's different. Is this a good day to wash clothes? No. If the sun hasn't come up by 7 o'clock, because this is equator, so that means it's about, the sun usually comes up by 6:30 and it usually goes down at 6:30 all year round. What has that done? That means I'm paying attention to a whole lot of things that if you're using a washer and dryer indoors in a basement or in an apartment building or in a laundromat, you're not paying attention to what's going on outside, are you? That's the point. If you really pay attention to what's going on. Do you know when the last full moon was? How about the last new moon? Do you know when the sun rises and sets where you sit? Probably not. That's because we have become indoor people. And why do we go indoors? Well, part of the reason is to get out of the weather. Part of the reason is to do our jobs that are usually indoors, out of the weather. What's happened? Why has things changed so much over the years? It's because we're afraid of nature, or we recoil from nature, or we put ourselves in a position to stay away from nature. Now, we may go to the beach in the summertime. We might go skiing in the snow in the wintertime, and then we pay a little bit of attention because those are fun things, things we want to do, that we enjoy. But if we're trying to take care of a daily project, hanging up clothes on the line, fixing a fence, taking our dogs for a walk, repairing the roof, putting in a new electric box, repairing a water line, going for a walk. Aha. Now, going for a walk is a really big deal. I'm telling you, I'm absolutely, I swear to you, going for a walk is a really big deal. Anything you read, anywhere, about health, about natural health, is going to tell you to go hiking, go for a walk along the river, anywhere in nature. It will change your whole outlook on life. I work a great deal with, every week, with several groups that have to do with recovery from drugs, alcohol, overeating, gambling, inappropriate sexual expression, a whole taking medication that is prescribed medication incorrectly, trauma, whatever it might be in your life that's causing you anxiety. Take a walk. Go sit under a tree. Lay down, take a nap under a tree. Take your dog for a walk. Pet your dog. Stop. Sit. Play with your dog. Feed the birds. Go play tennis, basketball, frisbee, anything outdoors on a regular basis will save you. And in the process, you're going to pay attention to what's going on with the earth. You're going to pay attention if it's raining when it's normally, on all the weather records, not raining. You're going to pay attention if the sun hasn't come up, and on the normal records, the sun's usually up by now in this day of the month, year, whatever the date is. We do not take care of anything we're afraid of or we avoid. And if you live in an apartment, you're probably running hither and thither out of the apartment to get into your car, to get to work, to get out of your car, to get into work, to work and then get back in your car and then quickly go back into your apartment. You see the point? A walk in nature is unbelievably healing. There's no question about it. Read Last Child in the Woods by Richard Louv, L-O-U-V, if you don't believe me. Look at all the references that he has in that book. That's just one idea, but it's real close to my heart because when I first applied to do my dissertation, I really wanted to do it on outdoor education, and all the people on my doctoral committee said, we don't know anything about outdoor education. It was a few years ago. There's a lot more out there now. There's a lot of evidence. Kids don't have any sign of not being able to concentrate. There's no sign of it. Attention deficit dysfunction. This doesn't exist if you take them outside. It's true. I used to do it all the time. I take my kids out and they'd be fine. Flickering lights in the room. There's so many things that are inside that classroom that irritate the things that we see in kids that we don't like. Hyperactivity, anxiety, fear, of so many of those things go away in nature. Nature is not judgmental. Nature accepts us for who we are. Nature is birds. Nature is chickens. Those are my chickens over there. Nature is dogs, cats, bugs, ladybugs. Aren't they beautiful? Monarch butterflies. They're gorgeous. Nature is places where there aren't man-made noises. The noises you hear in nature, maybe the blowing of leaves in the wind, as the wind blows by and you hear the rattling. Nature may be the sound of rain or hail. Could be a tornado or a hurricane. That's a little different. That's why we created shelters. That's why we used to run into caves to get away from that sort of thing. But those are very, very rare. Most of the time. Like landslides or a mudslide or a snowslide. snowdrift. Those things are rare. Usually, nature is a quiet place where you can walk, look, slow down. Most of us in the United States or Europe, Australia, so many places, rush, 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 rush. We're always under time elements. We go into nature, we go for a hike, we have 3 days off, we have a backpack, sleeping bag. Oh man, a little fire outside, cook our food over a fire or eat a granola bar. Something so incredibly healing. And it's true. If you go in a hospital and it has a window into nature, it will prove. There's a doctor of economics, environmental, and he has discovered that just looking outside is healing. That's part of the references that I put in my dissertation. I did get Last Child in the Woods in there, by the way. And I did it because most of his references had doctorates. Because science has proven nature heals. It's really simple. And if nature heals us, and we recognize it, we are going to pay more attention to nature and possibly heal nature. I wear this, can't hardly see it, it's gotten dark, but it's a woman or figure, a human figure, holding up a ball, which is my birthstone. I always wear it, I never take it off. It's to remind me. We need reminders. We really do. We need reminders that nature is in trouble. Nature is all around us, and we don't see it because we're looking at buildings and concrete and rushing back and forth to work. Rushing to the ballet or the opera or music or movie. Rushing to a bar, pool hall. Rushing to a community center, to a library, wherever it is. And many of those things are fabulous, but so is nature. And without nature, we don't have air. We don't have water. And we sure don't have shelter, because we've designed something to protect us from some aspects of nature. But in general, nature is non-judgmental. If you read about the blue zones are places where mostly it's indigenous people, not always. There is one in California actually, but blue zones are 5 to 7 places in the world that have been picked out as places where people live longer. They just happen to live quite a bit longer, 10, 15, 20 years longer than most people do. It's really quite amazing. And they do that because they're very, very connected to nature. They're also connected to each other. They also have a purpose in life. Their purpose, usually their first purpose, is family or community. Their second purpose is their career. It's not the way it is in most of the developed countries. The first purpose is your title, your job, your work, the things you do that bring your income in, instead of what you do for your health. Do you eat mostly vegetables? Half to 3/4 of your food vegetables? A few grains? Do you eat a little meat or fish and not eat too much of anything? That's part of what they do. They don't eat much. They stop eating when they're full. They stop drinking when they're full. They may drink a little wine, but that's about all. And the very little wine, they don't overdo it. They have a lot of community activity. They work outside, lots of movement, maybe on a horse, maybe on a tractor. Whatever it is, there's movement, there's exercise, they're doing things, they're gardening, they're growing some of their food, they're behaving like the indigenous people have done, and it has really made a big difference in their lives. They live longer. I live about 20 minutes from a place called Vilcabamba, and it's known as the Valley of Longevity. And the reason, it's not one, it's clean air, clean water, organic food, lots of community activities that are quiet and easygoing, not rushing around. You don't hear rushing traffic. Do you hear any rushing traffic? I hear a lot of birds. I hear a gate alarm going off way in the distance. I don't hear any trucks or cars or buses. How do you sleep at night? You sleep okay? Are you listening to a train right next to your window? Is there an alarm that goes off? Is somebody waking you up at night because of noise? If you think about how simple it is to wind your life down by planning. Make a date with nature. Make a date to go camping. Make a date to go golfing. You know, the people who golf, I know somebody said the other day, golf is not a sport, it's not that hard. Well, they're still walking. Well, not all of them. Some of them just use a cart. But our daughter likes to golf, and she uses a cart. But she also says, oh, Mom, I saw a turtle. Mom, I saw some birds. Mom, you can't believe how cool it was today. Oh, it was such a pleasant day. Or, oh, we went out to lunch afterwards and we sat outside. It was so lovely. Yes, golfing is a good idea. Even something as simple as grabbing your hand into your grandchild's hand and taking a walk along a river. Wow, you just don't know what you might see, what attention might be drawn by that little guy. And you know, the best things in life we learned in kindergarten. In other words, the kids, oh gosh, the kids always wake us up to what's going on. Just never know what you'll see. Like, I had a frog. He was in the kitchen the other day. I did a video about it. But the night before last, he came into the living room. I had the door open for the dogs. It was time for them to go out before we closed for the night. And the dog was interested in something by my shoes right by the door. And sure enough, it was my bullfrog. The bullfrog has this really funny thing that he does because he also wants shelter. He loves nature. He's out in nature all the time. Food is in nature, water's in nature. But he gets a little cold at night. So he jumps into my therapy tub onto bubble wrap that's covering the water. It's a small tub. It's only 4 feet by 2 feet and about 2 feet deep. And he gets into on top of the bubble wrap. He sits, little frog, on top of the bubble wrap because the water's warm, because I heat it with wood, dropped wood. So he just sits there in the night and stays warm. And then he just hops out in the morning. That's using nature for comfort from the cold of the night, but he's found something in nature that's warm. I mean, he's looked around. He's obviously paid attention. Have you looked around in nature? Do you know what flowers are growing in the yard outside? Do you have a yard? Do you have any flowers on the balcony in your apartment or inside your office? We forget how important it is to pay attention to what's going on in nature. And that's how we will save ourselves and the world is if we pay attention. Are we growing things? We're growing a community garden here because we need to eat. Neighbors need to eat. This is part of what we do to get closer to what the problem is right now, and that's taking care of our planet and ourselves. If we don't have a planet, we don't have a home. There is no planet B. Keep that in mind. That's always been my goal, is to remind people to take care of the planet. I hope you're still with me. If you are, thank you. And I'd love you to go down into my description and take a look at the nonprofit that I've run for all these years where I teach children about nature. And I've started another group in Guanajuato, Mexico, where they teach the children about nature. My husband and I rebuilt the place. You can read all about it in that link. Just go to About. It'll tell you about Summerland. We've been managing it for 34 years. And it's been about reminding kids about nature, helping them to be adults who respect nature, just like you are. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.